The phone call came at 2:30 in the afternoon, while I was at the grocery store. Marcus, my husband of 8 years, was on the other end, his voice tight with pain. Keisha, I need you to come get me. I'm at the emergency room at Riverside Hospital. I broke my arm. My heart dropped into my stomach. I abandoned my half-full cart right there in the produce section and ran to my car. What happened? Are you okay? I asked while fumbling with my keys. I'll explain when you get here. Just hurry. The drive to Riverside Hospital usually took 20 minutes, but I made it in 12. My mind raced through terrible possibilities. A car accident, a fall from a ladder, a workplace injury. Marcus worked as a sales manager at a car dealership. It wasn't a dangerous job, but accidents could happen anywhere. I found him in the emergency room, sitting on one of those uncomfortable plastic chairs with his left arm cradled against his chest. His face was pale and sweaty. His shirt was torn at the shoulder. He looked up when I walked in, and something in his expression made me pause. It wasn't just pain. It was guilt. Baby, thank God you're here, he said, standing up carefully. They're waiting to take me for x-rays, but I didn't want to go without telling you first. I hugged him gently, careful not to jostle his injured arm. His whole body was tense. What happened, Marcus? How did you break your arm? He hesitated just a fraction too long before answering. I was carrying some boxes at work. Heavy inventory. I slipped on some water someone spilled in the stockroom. Went down hard on my arm. Heard it snap. The story came out smooth and practiced. Too smooth. Too practiced. That's terrible. Did anyone see it happen? Did you file an incident report? Another tiny hesitation. Yeah, Devin was there. We filed all the paperwork. Workers' comp should cover everything. Before I could ask more questions, a nurse called his name. Marcus Lee. We're ready for you now. I followed him back to the x-ray room. The technician, a young Asian woman with kind eyes, positioned Marcus carefully and took several images. She told us to wait in exam room 3 while the doctor reviewed the films. We sat in silence. Marcus stared at his phone. I stared at him. Something was wrong. I could feel it in my gut. 8 years of marriage gave me a sixth sense about my husband. He was lying about something. After about 15 minutes, a doctor came in. She was a black woman in her 50s with silver streaked hair pulled back in a neat bun. Mr. Lee, I'm Dr. Patterson. The x-rays show a clean fracture of your radius. That's one of the 2 bones in your forearm. It's a straightforward break. We'll put you in a cast today, and you'll need to follow up with an orthopedist in about a week. How long until it heals? Marcus asked. 6 to 8 weeks typically. You'll be in the cast for most of that time. We'll give you pain medication and instructions for care. Dr. Patterson began explaining the healing process, but I wasn't really listening. I was watching Marcus. His jaw was clenched. His eyes kept darting to the door. A different nurse came in to prepare the cast materials. She was older than the first one, maybe in her late 40s, with short natural hair and warm brown eyes. Her name tag read Gloria Williams, RN. This is going to take about 30 minutes, she said cheerfully. The cast material needs time to harden properly. Mrs. Lee, you're welcome to stay, or there's a waiting area with coffee if you'd prefer. I'll stay, I said. Gloria worked efficiently, wrapping Marcus's arm in soft padding first, then dipping the casting material in water and carefully molding it around his forearm. She chatted pleasantly about the weather, about how busy the emergency room had been that morning, about nothing important. But as she worked, I noticed something. Every time she looked at Marcus, her smile didn't quite reach her eyes, and she kept glancing at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. Concern? Pity? Warning? When the cast was nearly finished, Gloria stepped back to check her work. She pulled off her gloves and washed her hands at the small sink. All right, Mr. Lee. This needs another 10 minutes to set completely. Don't move your arm. I'm going to get your discharge papers ready. She left the room. Marcus immediately grabbed his phone with his good hand and started scrolling. I stood up and stretched. I'd been sitting in that hard plastic chair for too long. I walked to the small window and looked out at the parking lot. That's when I felt it. A hand touched my elbow, so lightly I almost didn't notice. I turned and found Gloria standing right next to me. She had come back into the room silently. She pressed something small into my hand, a folded piece of paper. Her eyes held mine for just a second. Then she moved away, busying herself with adjusting Marcus's cast, all while talking about care instructions. I closed my fingers around the paper. My heart was pounding. Marcus never looked up from his phone. I slipped the note into my pocket and sat back down. My mind was racing. What had Gloria just given me? Why had she done it secretly? The next few minutes felt like hours. Gloria finished with the cast, gave Marcus a sling, and went through all the discharge information. How to keep the cast dry, signs of infection to watch for, when to take the pain medication. Marcus signed the paperwork. I helped him into his sling. We walked out to the car. The whole drive home, that folded paper burned in my pocket like a live coal. Marcus fell asleep in the passenger seat, probably from the pain medication they'd given him. I drove on autopilot, my mind spinning. When we got home, I helped him inside and onto the couch. He wanted to rest. I told him I'd make him something to eat. As soon as I heard him snoring, I went to the bathroom, locked the door, and pulled out the note. My hand shook as I unfolded it. The handwriting was neat and careful. Mrs. Lee, I'm sorry to do this, but you need to know the truth. Your husband didn't break his arm at work. He came into this ER 3 hours ago with a woman who is not you. They were arguing in the parking lot. Hospital security cameras captured everything. The fight got physical. She pushed him. He grabbed her. He fell and broke his arm. After the woman left, he called you and made up the work story. I've been a nurse for 23 years. I've seen this pattern too many times. I'm breaking policy by telling you this, but my conscience won't let me stay silent. If you want proof, ask hospital security for the parking lot footage from today between 11 a.m. and 12 p.m. Camera 7 covers the entrance near the ER. I'm praying for you. Gloria Williams, RN. I read the note 3 times. Then I sat down on the bathroom floor and tried to breathe. Marcus had been with another woman. They had fought. He had lied to me. My husband of 8 years. The man I trusted with everything. The man I'd dropped everything for when he called from the hospital. He had looked me in the eyes and lied. I don't know how long I sat there. Eventually, I heard Marcus calling for me from the living room. Keisha, baby, can you bring me some water? I flushed the toilet, so he'd think I'd been using the bathroom. I folded the note carefully and hid it in my pocket again. I washed my face with cold water. I looked at myself in the mirror. The woman looking back at me was a stranger. Her eyes were hard. Her jaw was set. I had been a fool. But I wasn't going to be a fool anymore. I brought Marcus his water and his pain pills. I made him a sandwich. I fluffed his pillows. I played the role of the caring wife. And while I did all of this, I made a plan. That evening, after Marcus had eaten and taken his medication and fallen asleep again on the couch, I went to our home office and closed the door. I opened my laptop and pulled up the contact information for Riverside Hospital. I found the number for the security department. Then I hesitated. If I made this call, if I asked for that footage, there would be no going back. I would be confirming my husband's betrayal. I would be starting down a road that might end my marriage. But the alternative was to pretend I'd never seen Gloria's note. To swallow the lie Marcus had told me. To live with a man who could look me in the face and deceive me without hesitation. I picked up my phone. The security office was closed for the night. The automated message said business hours were 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. I would have to wait until tomorrow. I went through the motions for the rest of the evening. I helped Marcus to bed. I changed into my pajamas. I lay down next to him in the dark. He reached for me with his good arm and pulled me close. Thank you for taking such good care of me today, baby. I don't know what I'd do without you. His words were warm, loving, tender, and every single one of them was poison. I'm here, I whispered back. Always. I lay awake for hours after he fell asleep, listening to him breathe, planning what I would do next. Morning came slowly. Marcus woke up around 7 a.m., groggy from the pain medication. I made him breakfast and helped him shower without getting his cast wet. I wrapped it in plastic bags and taped them carefully. I was the perfect wife. At exactly 8 a.m., I excused myself to the bedroom and called Riverside Hospital Security. Security office, this is Dwayne speaking. Hi, my name is Keisha Lee. I need to request some parking lot camera footage from yesterday. What's this regarding, ma'am? I hesitated. Then I went with the truth. Or part of it. My husband was injured in your parking lot yesterday, and I need to see what happened for our insurance claim. I see. What date and time frame are we looking at? Yesterday, November 15th, between 11 a.m. and noon. Camera 7, near the emergency room entrance. I could hear him typing. Okay, Mrs. Lee. We do have that footage, but our policy is that we can't release it without proper authorization. We'd need a formal request in writing, and depending on the nature of the incident, we may need to verify your identity and relationship to the injured party. My heart sank. How long does that take? Usually 3 to 5 business days for processing. I couldn't wait that long. Marcus would get suspicious, and if there was evidence on that footage that he knew about, he might try to have it deleted. Is there any way to expedite this? It's really important. Ma'am, I understand, but we have procedures. Let me transfer you to my supervisor. The supervisor, a woman named Patricia, was sympathetic but firm. The hospital took security footage very seriously. They couldn't just hand it over to anyone who called. But then she said something that changed everything. Mrs. Lee, I understand this is frustrating. However, if there was a crime committed on hospital property, or if you have legal counsel requesting the footage as part of a case, we can move much faster. Is this a police matter? I thought fast. It might be. My husband told me his injury happened one way, but I have reason to believe something else occurred. If he was assaulted, we would want to press charges. I see. In that case, I'd recommend you file a police report first. Once you have a case number, the police can subpoena our footage directly. That would be the fastest route. Thank you. I'll do that. I hung up and sat on the edge of the bed, thinking. Filing a police report would create an official record. It would be a big step, but it might be the only way to get the truth quickly. And something else occurred to me. If Marcus knew about the cameras, if he knew there was footage of him with another woman, he would be worried right now. He would be wondering if I knew. He would be watching for any sign that I suspected. I needed to keep playing the devoted wife, at least for now. I went back to the living room. Marcus was watching TV, his casted arm propped up on pillows. Everything okay? He asked. Fine, just checking in with work. I told them I'd be working from home this week to take care of you. He smiled. You're too good to me, Keisha. I'm lucky to have you. I smiled back, my face feeling like plastic. I'm lucky to have you too. Over the next 2 days, I took care of Marcus like a devoted wife should. I brought him his meals. I helped him get dressed. I drove him to his follow-up appointment with the orthopedist. And all the while I watched him. I noticed things I'd never noticed before. Or maybe I had noticed them and ignored them. The way he kept his phone face down on the table. The way he tilted the screen away from me when he checked his messages. The way he'd suddenly developed a new passcode I didn't know. I'd never been a jealous or suspicious wife before. Marcus had never given me reason to be. Or maybe he had, and I'd just been too trusting to see it. On the 3rd day, I told Marcus I needed to run errands. I drove to the police station. The officer at the front desk was a young black woman with her hair in a tight bun. Her name tag said Officer Brianna Johnson. I need to file a report, I said. My husband was assaulted in a hospital parking lot 3 days ago. She took down the information, asked me questions. I stuck as close to the truth as possible. Marcus had told me he was injured at work, but I had reason to believe he was actually injured at the hospital during an altercation. I wanted the police to investigate. Ma'am, did your husband file a report? No. I think he's afraid to. Or he's protecting someone. Officer Johnson looked at me carefully. Mrs. Lee, can I ask you something? Why are you filing this report instead of your husband? I met her eyes. Because I think my husband is lying to me about what really happened. And I need to know the truth. She nodded slowly. I understand. I'm going to be honest with you. If your husband doesn't want to cooperate with an investigation, there's not much we can do. But I'll take your statement and we'll see what we can find out. I gave her all the details I had. The date, the time, the location. The fact that Riverside Hospital would have security footage. She wrote everything down and gave me a case number. We'll look into this, Mrs. Lee. Someone will be in touch within the next few days. I drove home with the police report in my purse and a strange sense of calm settling over me. I was done being lied to. I was done being made a fool. Whatever the truth was, I was going to find it. That evening, Marcus was in an unusually good mood. He told me funny stories from work. He thanked me again for being so patient with him. He even suggested we order from our favorite restaurant, a soul food place we used to go to all the time when we were dating. We ate fried chicken and mac and cheese and collard greens. We watched a movie. Marcus fell asleep on the couch with his head in my lap. I looked down at him and tried to remember when I had fallen out of love with him. Or maybe the question was, when had he fallen out of love with me? My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Mrs. Lee, this is Gloria Williams from Riverside Hospital. I hope you don't mind that I'm reaching out. I got your number from your husband's intake forms. I've been thinking about you since Tuesday. Did you check the cameras? I typed back quickly. Yes. The hospital won't release the footage without authorization. I filed a police report. They're investigating. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Good. You deserve to know the truth. I'm praying for you. Can I ask you something? I typed. What did the woman look like? The one he came in with? A long pause. Then young. Early 20s maybe. Light-skinned. Long braids. She was dressed nice. They seemed close. Very familiar with each other. I'm sorry. The chicken I'd eaten turned to lead in my stomach. Thank you for telling me, I typed back. I put my phone down and looked at Marcus again. He was snoring softly, completely peaceful. Early 20s. I was 35. Marcus was 37. Young. He was cheating on me with someone barely out of college. I eased out from under his head carefully and went to the bedroom. I needed to think. In our 8 years together, I had never snooped through Marcus's things. I had trusted him completely. That trust felt naive now, but it was how I'd been raised. My mother always said that a marriage without trust wasn't a marriage at all. But my mother had also been cheated on. My father had left her for a younger woman when I was 16. She had trusted him until the very end, until the divorce papers arrived. I had sworn I would never be like my mother, never be blindsided, never be left behind. And yet here I was, following in her exact footsteps. I opened Marcus's dresser drawers quietly, went through his pockets, checked his gym bag. Nothing. He was too careful. His phone was the real prize, but he kept it with him at all times. He'd been doing that for months now, I realized. Maybe longer. I went back to the living room. Marcus was still asleep. His phone was on the coffee table, just out of reach. I could grab it. Guess his passcode. There were only so many combinations he would use. Our anniversary. His birthday. My birthday. But if I guessed wrong too many times, it would lock. He would know someone had tried to get in. I sat down in the armchair and watched him sleep. Tomorrow the police might call. They might get the hospital footage. They might show me proof of what I already knew in my heart. Marcus was a liar. Marcus was a cheater. And I was going to make him pay. The next morning, I woke up to find Marcus already in the shower. I could hear him singing, off-key and cheerful. I checked my phone. No messages from the police yet. But there was an email. From the hospital. I opened it with shaking hands. Mrs. Lee, this is Patricia from Riverside Hospital Security. I wanted to follow up on your request for parking lot footage. We were contacted by the police department regarding case number November 15th, 2487. We've provided them with the relevant security footage per their official request. I wanted to let you know that the footage has been released to law enforcement. If you have questions about accessing it, please contact Officer Johnson at the number below. Best regards, Patricia Chin, Director of Security, Riverside Hospital. They had it. The police had the footage. My hands were trembling so badly I almost dropped my phone. Marcus came out of the bathroom with a towel around his waist, his casted arm held carefully away from his body. Morning, baby. You're up early. I couldn't sleep, I said. How's your arm feeling? Better. The swelling is going down. Good. I made him breakfast. I helped him get dressed. I did everything a good wife would do. And then my phone rang. I looked at the screen. Unknown number. I need to take this, I told Marcus. Work call. I went into the bedroom and closed the door. Mrs. Lee, this is Officer Johnson. We reviewed the security footage from Riverside Hospital. I think we need to talk. Can you come down to the station today? My heart was pounding. Yes. What time? How about 2 p.m.? I'll be there. I hung up and stood there for a moment, trying to steady myself. This was it. The moment of truth. I told Marcus I had an important work meeting and couldn't reschedule. He barely looked up from his phone. At 1:45, I parked in front of the police station. My whole body felt numb. Officer Johnson met me in a small conference room. She had a laptop open on the table. Mrs. Lee, thank you for coming in. I want to show you what we found. She turned the laptop toward me and pressed play. The footage was black and white, slightly grainy but clear enough. The timestamp showed 11:14 a.m., 3 days ago. Marcus's car pulled into the parking lot. The passenger door opened before he'd even put it in park. A young woman got out. She was exactly like Gloria had described her. Light-skinned, long braids, dressed in a tight dress and heels. She started yelling. I couldn't hear the words, but I could see her mouth moving, her hands gesturing wildly. Marcus got out of the driver's side. He tried to grab her arm. She yanked away. They argued. She got right in his face, pointing her finger at him. Then she shoved him. Hard. Marcus stumbled backward, lost his balance, and fell. His arm hit the concrete at an awkward angle. Even without sound, I could tell the moment it broke. The way his whole body went rigid. The way his mouth opened in a silent scream. The woman stood there for a moment, her hand over her mouth. Then she ran to him, trying to help him up. He pushed her away with his good arm. She backed up, then turned and ran to a silver sedan parked a few spaces away. She got in and drove off. Marcus sat on the ground, cradling his arm. He pulled out his phone. He called someone, talked for a minute. Then he slowly got to his feet and walked into the emergency room entrance. Officer Johnson paused the video. We pulled the records from his phone. At 11:19 a.m., he called the dealership where he works and told them he'd slipped in the stockroom and broken his arm. At 2:31 p.m., he called you. I sat there, staring at the frozen image of my husband sitting on the concrete, holding his arm, his face twisted in pain. Do you know who the woman is? Officer Johnson asked gently. No, I whispered. I've never seen her before. We ran the license plate on her car. It's registered to a Jasmine Taylor, age 24, address in College Park. Jasmine. Her name was Jasmine. Mrs. Lee, I have to ask, what do you want to do with this information? I looked up at her. Can I get a copy of this footage? For what purpose? My divorce. She nodded. I'll get you a copy on a flash drive. You'll need to sign some paperwork. 20 minutes later, I walked out of the police station with a flash drive in my purse and divorce on my mind. I had a choice to make. I could confront Marcus immediately, show him the footage, demand answers, file for divorce, or I could wait, plan, make sure I had everything in order before I pulled the trigger. My mother had learned the hard way that divorce could be messy, expensive, painful. My father had hidden money. He'd taken out loans in her name. He'd transferred assets to his girlfriend. By the time my mother realized what was happening, he'd already cleared out their savings account and moved out of state. I wasn't going to make the same mistakes. I drove home and found Marcus exactly where I'd left him, on the couch watching TV. How was your meeting? He asked. Fine. Productive. That's good. I went to the bedroom and opened my laptop. I started doing research. Divorce lawyers, asset protection, how to document financial records, how to prove adultery in divorce court. Georgia was a no-fault divorce state, which meant I didn't need to prove adultery to get a divorce. But I could use it to argue for a more favorable settlement. I made a list of all our assets. The house, which we owned jointly, our cars, our bank accounts, Marcus's 401k from the dealership, my retirement account from my job at the insurance company. I had been the higher earner for the past 3 years. I made $78,000 as a senior analyst. Marcus made about $65,000 in sales, plus commissions that varied. We had been married for 8 years. Georgia law said marital property should be divided equitably. But if I could prove he'd been spending marital funds on his affair, I might be able to get more. I needed evidence. Bank statements. Credit card records. I went to our filing cabinet and pulled out the last 6 months of statements. I went through them line by line. And there it was. The proof I needed. Charges at expensive restaurants I'd never been to. Hotel rooms in the middle of the week. Jewelry purchases at stores I'd never shopped at. He hadn't even tried to hide it. He must have assumed I'd never look. I photographed every page with my phone, uploaded them to a cloud drive. Then I called my bank and requested copies of all statements for the past 2 years. I told them I needed them for tax purposes. Next, I called a lawyer. The receptionist at Thompson and Associates said they could fit me in tomorrow at 10 a.m. I booked it. That night at dinner, Marcus seemed happy, relaxed. He told me the dealership had been busy, that he'd closed a big sale remotely despite his injury. That's great, baby, I said. I'm proud of you. He reached across the table and took my hand. You know I love you, right? I squeezed his hand. I know. The lies came so easily to him now, as easily as they came to me. The next morning, I told Marcus I had a dentist appointment. He barely looked up from his phone. The law office was in a nice building downtown. Melissa Thompson was a black woman in her mid-40s with kind eyes and a firm handshake. Tell me why you're here, Mrs. Lee. I showed her everything. The hospital footage, the credit card statements, the text from Nurse Gloria. She watched the video twice. Then she looked at me. This is solid evidence of infidelity and financial misconduct. With this, we can file for divorce and argue for an unequal division of assets in your favor. We can also potentially get alimony, although with your income and his, it might not be significant. I don't care about alimony. I just want what's fair. And I want him to know I'm not stupid. Melissa smiled. Understandable. Here's what I recommend. We file the divorce petition immediately. We include all this evidence. We freeze all joint accounts so he can't drain them. We file for exclusive use of the marital home. We do this fast and clean before he knows what's happening. I took a deep breath. Let's do it. Over the next 3 days, Melissa and I prepared everything. We documented all our assets. We valued the house. We calculated what I was owed. On Friday afternoon, Melissa called me. It's ready. We can serve him today if you want. I thought about Marcus, about 8 years of marriage, about the lies and the betrayal. Do it. The process server arrived at our house at 6 p.m. Marcus was on the couch, watching a basketball game. The doorbell rang. I answered it. Delivery for Marcus Lee. I'll get him. Marcus came to the door. The process server handed him a large envelope. You've been served. Marcus stared at the envelope, then at me. What is this? Open it. He tore it open with his good hand, pulled out the divorce petition. I watched his face change. Confusion, shock, anger. Keisha, what the hell is this? It's a divorce petition, Marcus. I'm divorcing you. Over what? Because I broke my arm? No. Because you lied to me. Because you've been cheating on me. Because I have proof. I pulled out my phone and played the hospital parking lot footage. The color drained from his face. Keisha, I can explain. You don't need to explain. It's all right here on video. You and Jasmine. The argument. The fight. The lie you told me. The 3 months of charges on our credit card for hotels and dinners and gifts. It's all documented. He tried to grab my arm. Baby, please. This isn't what you think. I pulled away. Don't touch me. You need to leave. This is my house. Actually, according to the divorce petition, I've been granted exclusive use of the marital home until the divorce is final. You need to pack a bag and leave. Now. Keisha, please. Let's talk about this. There's nothing to talk about. I'm done being lied to. I'm done being disrespected. You made your choice when you got involved with a 24-year-old girl. Now you get to live with the consequences. How did you even find out? A nurse at the hospital cared more about my well-being than you did. She saw you with Jasmine and thought I should know the truth. Marcus sank onto the couch, his head in his good hand. I never meant to hurt you. But you did. For months, apparently. While I was working and cooking and taking care of our home, you were out with her, spending our money on her, lying to me every single day. It just happened. I didn't plan it. It didn't just happen, Marcus. You made choices. Every hotel room, every dinner, every lie was a choice. And now I'm making my choice. I'm choosing to walk away from a man who doesn't value me. Where am I supposed to go? That's not my problem anymore. Call Jasmine. Maybe she'll take you in. Or call your mother. But you're not staying here. He looked up at me with tears in his eyes. I love you, Keisha. No, you don't. If you loved me, you wouldn't have betrayed me. Now pack your bag and leave before I call the police. It took him 30 minutes to pack. He kept trying to talk to me, to explain, to apologize. I didn't respond. I just sat at the kitchen table, silent and cold. When he finally left, I locked the door behind him and leaned against it. Then I cried, not because I wanted him back, but because 8 years of my life had just ended, because I had trusted someone completely and been betrayed. I cried for the woman I had been, the naive, trusting wife who had believed in her marriage. And when I was done crying, I wiped my face and made myself a cup of tea. I was going to be fine. More than fine. I was going to rebuild my life on my own terms. The divorce took 4 months to finalize. Marcus tried to fight it at first. He hired a lawyer. He claimed the footage didn't prove anything. He said Jasmine was just a friend. But when Melissa presented the credit card statements, the hotel receipts, and the testimony from Nurse Gloria, his lawyer advised him to settle. I got the house. I got 60% of our savings. I got my car and my retirement accounts. Marcus got his car, his 401k, and a hard lesson about honesty. The day the divorce was final, Melissa called me. Congratulations, Mrs. Lee. You're officially single. Thank you for everything. You did the hard part. You stood up for yourself. I hung up and looked around my house. My house now. I had moved the furniture around, painted the bedroom a soft blue, put up new curtains. I was creating a new life, a better life. 6 months after the divorce, I ran into Marcus at the grocery store. He looked tired, older. His arm was healed, the cast long gone. Keisha, Marcus, we stood there awkwardly for a moment. How have you been? He asked. Good. Really good, actually. You? I'm okay. I wanted to say I'm sorry. For everything. You deserved better. Yes, I did. Are you seeing anyone? I smiled. That's none of your business anymore, Marcus. His face fell. Right. Of course. But for your information, I'm dating someone. A good man who treats me with respect. That's good. I'm happy for you. Are you still with Jasmine? He looked away. No. That ended a while ago. I wasn't surprised. Affairs built on lies rarely lasted. I hope you learned something from all this, Marcus. I did. Too late, but I did. We said our goodbyes. I watched him walk away, and I felt nothing. No anger. No sadness. No regret. Just peace. I got in my car and drove home, thinking about how far I'd come. A year ago, I had been a betrayed wife, hurt and lost. Now I was a woman who knew her worth, who had fought for herself and won. And it all started with a folded note from a nurse who cared enough to tell me the truth. Some people might say Gloria was wrong to get involved, that it wasn't her place, but I will forever be grateful that she did, because she gave me the gift of truth. And truth, no matter how painful, is always better than living a lie. I pulled into my driveway and looked at my house. My fresh start. My new beginning. I was going to be okay. Better than okay. I was going to be happy. And that was the greatest revenge of all.